Tuesday, September the 12th, 2023 at 2 p.m. in council chambers. So we will first check on the there are any late items. Mrs. Felton, are there any late items? Thank you very much. So could we have a motion please to approve the agenda as printed? Thank you, Councillor Chung, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And there are two sets of minutes that need adoption, the regular open minutes from August the 15th and the special open minutes from August the 18th. Could we have a motion to adopt those, please? Councillor Bennett, Councillor Federica, all in favor. Thank you. And first off, then we have a public hearing. And I will read the statement of the chair first. This public hearing is convened pursuant to section 464 of the Local Government Act, RSBC 2015, to allow the public to make representation to council respecting matters contained in zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.146/2023. Every person present who believes that their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaw shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard respecting matters contained in the proposed bylaw. None of you will be discouraged or prevented from making your views known. However, it is important that we restrict your remarks to matters contained in the proposed bylaw. If you wish to speak once it is time for public representation and are attending in person, please proceed to the microphone and commence your remarks by clearly stating your name and address. If you wish to speak and are attending virtually, please virtually raise your hand. If you are unsure how to do so, you can find the information on the town's website. It will be your turn to speak once your name or phone number has been called. Your microphone will be unmuted and you may commence your remarks by clearly stating your name and address. Once you have finished speaking, your microphone will be muted. If they wish, members of council may ask you questions following your presentation. However, the function of council at this public hearing is to listen to you rather than to debate the merits of the proposed bylaw. In accordance with the council procedure bylaw, presentations by members of the public shall be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes each. If a person has additional information that they are unable to provide within that time frame, they shall be given further opportunity to address council after all other interested members of the public have been heard a first time. Please refrain from applause or other expressions of emotion during this public hearing so that we may ensure as impartial a hearing as possible. After this public hearing is adjourned, council members will not speak to the public on this matter until after the matter has been dealt with at a public meeting. After this public hearing has concluded, council may, without further notice, give whatever effect council believes proper to the representations made at this hearing. So I'll ask Mrs. Hilson, please, to do the confirmation of advertising.
Notice of the public hearing was given in accordance with the Local Government Act and the Community Charter by distributing the notice as follows. Publishing in 2 consecutive editions of the Times Chronicle on August 31st and September 7th, placing the notice on the bulletin boards in the town office and Planning Development Services Department on August 30th, posting the notice on the town's website on August 30th, and it was distributed via e-news on the 31st of August. And notices were mailed out on August 30th and hand delivered within a 60-meter radius on August 30th.
Thank you. Could you do the summary of the staff report, please?
The purpose of the meeting is to seek public input onto zoning amendment bylaw number 1085/146, which received first and second reading on the 15th of August. The zoning amendment proposes to allow 50% of the property to be used as a boat storage and the remaining 50% to be used as a service commercial.
Thank you very much. And we have received no correspondence on this issue. Thank you. No written submissions. I'm going to ask Ms. Curtis to give the staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor Portal. This public hearing is for the zoning bylaw and amended bylaw authority number 1085/146/2023 for 6014 51st Street. The applicant is looking to amend zoning of the subject property in order to allow for outdoor storage limited to a maximum of 50% of the property. The subject property is currently zoned M3 Special Industrial, which is a zone specific to the area between Lakeshore Drive and 51st Street. The uses permitted within this area include repair shops, manufacturing plants, and car washes. The applicant has proposed a text amendment to the zoning bylaw, which would allow for a site-specific use of outdoor storage limited to a maximum of 50% of the property. The property has previously been used for an auto repair business and has also served as a local building supply center. The current use of the property is a boat repair business and with boat spa service attached to it combined. The applicant's proposal would enhance the current business on the property and provide a service to locals and tourists alike. The applicant is currently using a property outside of town to store boats, but intends to use the subject property as the primary storage facility should the zoning amendment be approved.
Thank you very much. So I will now look at representations, and I'm wondering if the applicant is in the room. Yes, would the applicant like to come up to and speak at the microphone?
Good night, council. I appreciate the reading. We'd just like to basically,
Excuse me, could you say your name
Oh,
and
sorry.
address first? Thank you.
Michael Pollock of 3610 25th Street, Surrey. And basically, the request for the zoning change is to allow our business to develop further into not just a seasonal at the moment marine repair business, but it allows us in our business model to expand the service that we're doing on the marine boats and jet skis and whatnot. And by doing that, we're able to take our clients' business from exactly now to said October, November, when a lot of these clients are now leaving to go to Vancouver, would typically take their boat home, thus their business. We're currently employing 3, expecting employment of 4 people. And in our model, we were able to do this almost year round if we have this amendment to the zoning to where we can take the customer's boat in for service, which we have the luxury of the fall and if it in summer, excuse me, to where we can take on this business and then know we can properly store their boats on the property for the remaining winter months for them to return in the summer or in the spring. So currently would be an impact on the business to where we would have to refuse the work because what do we do with those said boats when those clients go back to Vancouver or Calgary or where they go from? And thus the employment opportunity now also diminishes because we now no longer have the work that we could take on now. So that's the primary. We looked at the spin-off effects of consolidating boats that may be throughout the community and driveways, things like that. Also in the tourism sector, in our services, we have what we call an in and out service, where now someone has the luxury of not bringing their great big trucks or having to deal with their said storage issues in the city or whatnot, making maybe attractiveness of what the usage of the town and facilities and things like that are. It is a working yard, security, things like that. It's not just a rogue yard where we're storing things of parts and whatnot. It's an active working business. And for us, it's quite integral to our business plan and model of employing these people and continuing a successful business year round instead of trying to just hit that 3-month and then roll up the carpets in the winter. So touched on the vacation families. One of the things that is unique is we are still comparing to the other communities like Penticton, Kelowna that have these services that we don't really see, or there's a need for more services to this that may also add impact or benefit to the city as we go forward. And that, you know, much like a larger grocery store or things like that, that there is a service that now is complementing the growth of what we see as our town.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I have a list here. Mike, you have just spoken, so your name is on the list. There are 2 other people, and I'm wondering if Cliff Majak is Cliff here. Would you like to come and speak? Sorry, was signed on the zoning bylaw here on this sheet. So it's not that one. You're doing the next one. How about Joanne Parker?
I'm also doing the next.
You're perfect. Okay, well, thank you. That was, that had the zoning bylaw on the top. Okay, so is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak to this application? I'll call a second time. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this application? And for a third time, is there anyone who wishes to speak to this application? Thank you. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion that the public hearing be adjourned. Please, Councillor King, Councillor Potter, all in favor. Thank you. Now, we are looking at a zoning amendment bylaw. And that would be what in your report, Ms. Curtis. So there are options. They're on page 23 or 41, whichever you like. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion concerning? Yes.
Move option one.
That it be read for a third time. Correct? All right. Is there a second? Councillor Potter, all in favor. Thank you very much. Okay, we will now go on to the development variance permit. Go ahead, Ms. Curtis, please.
So this report is for request council make a motion on one of the suggested options that administration provided. Based on feedback received by the comments received from the public. Zoning bylaw number 1085 and 1998 stipulates that a rear lot line setback of 6 meters. Is required for the property. The applicant is requesting a reduction to this rear lot line setback from 6 meters to 3 meters. In order to install the grocer modular greenhouse in his backyard. The grocer modular farming system allows for the production of food year round using a hydroponic growing method. The applicant intends to connect the greenhouse to the town's water system. This form of greenhouse uses less water than the conventional agricultural methods, approximately 2,500 liters per month. By comparison, the average person uses approximately 400 liters per day, or roughly 12,000 liters per month. The wastewater for the greenhouse will go into a holding tank, which would pump up the property's sanitary line coming out of the residence on the west side, where there is an existing clean out at this location. The estimated wastewater volume is estimated to be around 2,500 to 3,500 liters per month, significantly less than the single family home uses per month. No hazardous chemicals or harmful products would be mixed in with this wastewater. Administration supports the requested variance subject to input from the neighbors. The proposed greenhouse or grocer modular farming system aligns with the permitted uses in the zoning bylaw. Today are that council authorized the issuance of the development variance permit, or that the council does not support the issuance of the development variance permit.
Thank you. So I think we have some people who wish to speak on this issue first. But Major, would you like to come and speak on this? Because we are giving you that option today. Please give us your name and your address.
So Major, I live at that property at 8214 97th Street. Well, it is my property.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where I live as well. The purpose of the variance setback is, as I looked at, say the bowling alley next door to me, where they have a 1 meter, 1.2 meter setback. Mariposa is similar to that down the street. When you look further south of us, we're also seeing setbacks that are a lot closer to that property line. So it didn't seem to make a lot of sense to me to go to a 6 meter setback. It just wasted a lot of yard space where we're not going to be able to mow back there. We're not going to be able to do a lot with that 6 meters. And being that we're, I think, directly behind this is the agricultural land reserve, back some of the orchard. I don't see any development from there for a long period of time. Also, these are very modular. We're putting them on screw piles, so that should at some point in time, if we decide to move it, relocate, we can unscrew the pile, pull the piles out, move the entire operation somewhere else. So it really has little to no impact on any further development, should that ever happen to the west of us. And so that's why we're looking to maximize our land use versus wasting it, and we all know it's all tight land is here in Sillians and surrounding area, so.
Good.
My question.
Thank you very much for giving us that information.
Yeah.
And I think we have another speaker, that Joanne Parker would like to also speak on this issue. Please state your name and your address.
1 second.
So not working. Thank you.
It's Joanne Parker, I live at 84149 Sykes Street. We just had a concern over like. That was probably wrong, so we can't go over that.
Can I ask you to explain a little bit further? Is it late at night or?
Yeah, we just wanted to know, we're gonna have any lighting solutions from the development or that kind of thing, so.
Ms. Cruz, has this been mentioned before? Do you know anything about this issue?
Since, through the chair, since this is a modular farming system, it's not quite like your traditional greenhouse. The like predict, pollution should be much reduced by comparison to that. That being said, and perhaps the applicant clerk could explain more about this. But I don't foresee maybe more light than accessible outside, like. outside.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, I think so, we just wanted to make sure, it's, you know. Not gonna be, there's time for lighting and it's not gonna impact our. Being like that, so we're okay with that.
Perhaps, if you talk to the owner, you might be able to come up with with a way to solve that, right? If not, then you talk to Ms. Curtis.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wish to speak on this topic? Okay, so what we're going to do is look for a.
Question.
Yes, oh, absolutely. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Madam Mayor. It's just Mr. Bernstein, this process that ties into the executive sewer. Do you feel there's any problem with the type of stuff that's gonna be released?
If one of vehicle with water quality, we do not, there should just be some basic runoff to it, so that it's agricultural.
Okay, thank you.
So administration supports this requested variance, subject to input from the neighbors, which we heard of. So I'm wondering, council, there are two options and before you, unless anybody has any other questions, we do. Okay, option one, authorizes the issuance of the development variant permit number 2303. And it's been seconded, Councilor Poderica. Any other concerns? Thank you, all in favor. Thank you, everyone. And we will now go down to page 63 parks needs assessment. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before you is a recommendation that council increases the budget to $100,000. Utilize the existing capital budget funding to allow for the development of the Parks Master Plan, including a gyro park focused design review. We released an RFP earlier this year with a budget of $40,000 to do a parks needs assessment, which would include mostly gyro park, but all of our other parks as well. We didn't receive anything in return after the RFP. we did get some feedback saying that if we want to do something in light of what we've actually proposed. More in tune would be to $100,000 budget. The options before council is to keep it as it is right now at 40,000, complete the needs assessment on Gyro Park alone. Or do the 100,000 and include everything as it is stipulated in the current RFP. And right now, the recommendation is to move the budget to 100,000.
Okay, thank you. I think we might have some people that would like to ask some questions or state something. Councilor Chalk.
Thank you. We had a brief appetizer of this conversation earlier this morning. Is there a possibility where the consultants could also facilitate the charrette? And then we can gather better data so that we can have a more specific master plan done? Because there were concerns where, like, we use the project on Deep History as an example where, although they're just as an example, the 3D renderings had these basketball courts, which made no sense unless you're playing 21, and ping pong tables, which I don't think were ever brought up. Where it's, if we can have public input first, and then the consultants can then generate a more specific plan, it would just be more efficient dollar-wise.
I do believe as part of the RFP, that's sort of how this would unfold. So if we don't hire a consultant at the start of this, I really don't think we can hire a facilitator, because that would be part of the consultation. And normally what happens is we can spell that out exactly how it's done. So if a consultant was hired, we had an open house, a public open house, multiple occasions. Even prior to that, we can have a stakeholder meeting, identify a number of items, whatever those items are, and then just narrow it down as we move along. And that's basically what we would do. Focusing solely on Gyro Park, it's not just the needs of the park itself or what we're putting in the park, but it's the flow as well. For special events, the trail that goes through the park, dogs in the park, all those items, right? And those are items that come up all the time. I think we also discussed in the past, you know, us as staff can actually do some of that stuff. But it would be kind of elementary in terms of what a consultant would do, because they're a professional. They would, you know, bring everything in light to what we need, whether it's through the community charter, how they actually do it, how it unfolds, and that's basically what we would do. So the 40,000 that we normally, or we had to do originally, that's what we were asking to do. So it's not just getting some information, putting a report together based on that information, and then going forward. It would have that open house concept, surveys, public surveys, and then actually, you know, like a charrette venue where we would talk about all those things. Other than that, just hiring somebody at a lower end cost and bringing some items forward, I'm not sure how that would work. That's all.
Councilor King.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I guess my question, how do we go from 40 to 100? Is that just kind of a number out there? Why wouldn't we just go to 80 and double the budget? And try to save 20,000.
I think that just with feedback that we got, we only had feedback from one of the actual consultants, the company. And that was just a ballpark figure. That's all. That's all it is. So maybe 80 would work. If we put the RFP out and we brought that back, maybe it's less than 80. We just want to make sure that when we do this and how we put it together, we want to make sure that we do have enough money in the budget to do it without having to come back again. We are at the tail end of our community services master plan as well, which some of these items are also included. They just weren't in any detail. We did a trails master plan not that long ago. And again, the items related specifically to our parks and our parks needs weren't at that detail. So what we need, and not just for the purpose of, planning per se, we're putting stuff just in Gyro Park. We have a couple of parks we have nothing in. We have a couple of parks, there's washrooms, there's new washrooms, there's no washrooms. There's porta potties, and those are items that need to be addressed, and that's what would be addressed with that. We also have opportunities for grants. If grants become available, and not just having a plan in place, but it would be shelf ready. We would have items identified as part of our strategic planning, as part of our budgeting. Whether it's a capital budget or something off the cuff that we can say, let's put our washroom in now because there's going to be a grant available next month, type of thing. So it does work that way. And, the biggest part with having a plan in place is making sure that it doesn't just stay on the shelf and collect dust. And sometimes it's more difficult than not, but with our good counsel and with our good staff, we can make that work. And I think that would be the most important.
Second, Madam Mayor. Would we just come out of the 223 budget, or we would look at, so we have, is there funding sort of to support this in previous budget?
Yes, there is.
Go ahead, Councillor Banner.
Thank you through the chair, Mr. Davies. I guess my biggest concern is when we say, like today, I went down next to the park, right? I had some work done, and they said, well, nobody come and talk to us. We got together as a group, and nobody there was even talking about what they're happy at the park, but they're concerned nobody talked to individually as businesses, right? So I look at this and I look at this, we say 40,000, they say, well, that's not enough, it should be around 100, and we say 100. Those bids are coming back in 100, I don't know, but I looked here today going through some of the budget stuff, and all these budget things are like, everything is 75,000, 75,000, 30, 75, 200, 75, 90,000. If it's all just, they just say it's 75,000, we, isn't there a competition anymore where we go out and say this one went down, how much is it gonna cost? Or do we just accept this 190, 75, 75, 75? Because in the budgets, we go through it, that's what it shows, and I just kind of think, where's the competition anymore, where somebody do it for maybe 50 or 60? Maybe I'm out of from the tune somewhere, but it's just a comment.
I think that would all depend on if we do another RFP, if we stay with what we've already advertised, there is an opportunity legally not to do another RFP. Obviously, that would be up to our administration to RFP that again, but at $40,000, it would probably end up the same way. But the difference would be is that we would focus solely on one park rather than all the other parks.
But I'm talking on 40,000, and it's 100 or 80 or 40, because they say it's 100, then all of a sudden you're saying this is gonna cost 70, 70, 70, 40. Those amounts are there, and if I'm quoting them, I'm saying, well, they got 100,000. Why won't I bid 100,000? Yeah, so are we doing different bids and we decide which we should go?
Absolutely, we do have a competitive process. And we do evaluate those based on what we actually put as assignment criteria. And that's what we do. And we don't necessarily bring the lowest cost forward. What is most advantageous to the town is what we do. And how that works out could be better quality versus the price. And it is a very competitive process still. And when we procure those, yeah, we will bring that. And maybe it'll come back much less than 100. But we would still have to go through that RFP process.
Okay, that's why I know, because it's like that, I don't understand it, I don't know what the public does, and how does that work, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, yeah.
So I'll just let them give it to you. I would just, I know in here that a revised parks master plan would probably good to identify all of the things that are needed. However, I've underlined, it would be developed with a focus on Gyro Park amenities, because that's really the reason we're doing this, or it was the original reason, because we think it's so important to have a look at Gyro again, because it's been 10, 12 years since we did the last one. And I think we need to look at it again. There's certainly a lot of talk about it, about what's going on down at Child.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I do believe too, you know, there's been a lot of changes.
Yes,
You know, even going through COVID,
I know.
putting a band shell on the opposite end. You know, when we have an event or make a change there for some of those items. Our volleyball courts with 27 teams, that's insane, but really, really good for a small community. And of course, the removal of the old museum. And there's a lot of factors in there, and yes, yeah, I know a lot of the stakeholders, and I wouldn't say they've come out of the woodwork, but we've had people asking about, you know, the high volume traffic and the speed of scooters on the trails. We talked, how would we get power to certain areas for other events? And even the opportunity to set up ahead of time, because it's a premier park. And we're gonna have an event one day, and it's so big that we're setting up for 2 days and taking away that for everybody. So there's a lot of, and it's one of the most beautiful places in town.
Absolutely, it is. Okay, Councilor Sean was next.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So how in depth would they go with the other surrounding parks? And like, would they go into enough detail that in the future it could be actionable for like other changes to like?
I think we can actually expect that, and that would be part of the process, so. Some of the items that I would assume that could be, you know, developed for this would be some of our replacement of our playground structures. Items, how our park is used, i.e. the new park at the end of Cottonwood. We got a brand new washroom there, but that's about it. And what are we doing with that? And it's not the fact that we really don't have anything in our 5-year plan. We do have stuff. But if we had an opportunity based on what the community wants, to put items in our 5-year plan, that's what we would do. And in 3 years, if we were gonna put play structure, or we're gonna put an irrigation system, or anything to that effect, we would plan for that. In the meantime, if a grant becomes available, you know, we jump on that grant and maybe move it even ahead of the game, right? But it is definitely something that we would expect, and that would be part of the RFP. And knowing when we do the evaluation, if those things are not prominent as well, you know, if we want to make that important, we would give it higher marks in the criteria to make sure that happens. And if it gets high marks, that means they're going to do it, and that means they're going to fulfill our needs, right?
And follow-up question. I'm just going to assume that obviously we don't have the capability to do all the changes all at once. We're probably going to focus on Jarrow Park and then make that priority. So what's the shelf life of that information? Let's say like if we get this information on Kingdom Park, how long can that information stay viable for?
Right now, 6 months.
Fair enough.
I still think having an opportunity to identify what we need in those parks. If, for example, we had a 3 to 5, you know, years in order to do some of those improvements, we're going to revisit the numbers every year in our budget. So we would have to adjust. We do have some items in our budget this year that would be similar, got carried over. And maybe it was going to be, you know, 10 or 15 or 20% more just based on, you know, what we're getting right now. But it would be just like anything else, I would assume. So. Good question.
Okay, Councilor King.
Couple of my comments. If this moves forward, what's the timeline?
So as we have listed here, if we did another RFP, yeah, 6 to 8 weeks, we would bring it back. We would have our open house and information gathering early 2024. Hopefully by the end of 2024, we would have something like hard in place, and if not, it would be early 2025. And then we would prepare again for how we unfold those items in our budget process.
I think it's important to have a master plan, we're getting master plan for everything else, so that way we become shelf ready for grants. I guess I gotta go back to the comment earlier about why can't we make it 80,000 instead of 100? Because most of the consultants are in the $75,000 range, mining prices have all gone up.
We can, council can. It would be the recommendation is 100
I think
from
that's
administration
it.
to be safe.
Want to put to a max of 100?
Subject.
Well, that's still 100.
Councilor Rodriguez, do you have a
My
suggestion?
concern with that would be, we go down to 8,000 and next thing you know, we're having another meeting, to discuss this again, to bump it up another 20,000 because we've undercut ourselves on this. And we keep only basically our competition.
Go ahead.
Mayor, I mean, all the costs have been going up.
Yeah, for sure.
That is a struggle, being probably, fixed income and shortage of money. We do put out for RFP and, and you hope that several companies are bidding on it, and it's a very, very competitive process. We have been involved in situations where unfortunately the bids come in significantly higher than what we've allocated and decided to pull the pin. So if it did go down to 80, there's a potential, especially if we want X, Y, and Z, that nobody bids on it. Or maybe get a really inferior product because 2 or 3 of the top-notch companies say, no, we can't do that type of product for X, and you get a sub-product. So it is a council decision. But say we're hoping this amount based on what we're hearing. Because these are the things that these folks do on a regular basis, that is typically what it costs to produce a master plan.
No, I respect that, it's just this is 150% increase sounds a little
Yeah.
high on the surface of things. And you got the criteria already, so it's not going to create something new. From staff point of view.
I hope you're correct. I love to put this RFP out and bids come in at 50 or 60. We tried 40 with the parameters and nobody submitted.
Oh, I realize 40 is too low today's. I like 100%. I'll make a motion, let's make it 90,000. We'll split it.
Is there somebody, any other thoughts on this? Anybody want to second that motion or? No, not a second, so does somebody want to make a different motion? Go ahead, Councillor John.
I will move option 2.
So that's the one that's recommended, right? Yes. Okay, is there, Councillor Bennett, were you seconding that? Oh, sorry, I thought you had his people, so I'm asking. No, Councillor Putter, you seconding that? Okay. So we increased the budget to 100,000 to allow for the development of a parks master plan, including a gyro park focus design review. Right? Okay, all in favor? Against? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam.
Were you leaving? So hang on, you can't right now. Can I interrupt this for just a sec? Because I got a gold medal the other day at the pickleball. Well, I didn't play pickleball, I just was there to bring greetings from the town, but it's really not for me. It says on it that to the town of Vesuvius, thank you for all your support with the Fun in the Sun pickleball tournament. And they insisted that I not only wear this, but that I present it to you, Gerald, because they said that you particularly and all of town staff did an amazing job of helping them, providing tables, providing whatever they needed, and they were very, very supportive of the town. And so I would like to give this this gold medal to Gerald to put up in his office, and the girls over at the North Center want a picture as well with you. There you go. I
I'm
just
just
go
going
to the
someplace else.
podium and everything to get it.
You just wanna go someplace else and get a picture, cause it's on TV.
Hey, you're fine, but.
Oh, are we gonna just?
Yeah, I got a few. Council Bennett in there.
Thank you. Congratulations and thanks, Charles.
Oh, you have to wear that for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go on to the destination fee for service agreement. Mr. Risling.
Thank you, your worship. This is a renewal agreement with Destination Vesuvius to provide our tourism, marketing piece of the equation. There's been no changes in the agreement proposed for the next, few years. This agreement is also going to the RUS as they contribute, a portion of funding to this, and so we're asking that, council, approve, the agreement, and we can proceed with, business as usual. We got the Destination Vesuvius and the, tourism marketing, piece of the equation.
I'd just like to say that I think that Destination Series has done a really good job over the last little while, picking up on the tourism part of bringing people back to Vesuvius after the provincial government closed it down for a while. Destination Vesuvius really picked up on that, and I saw on, was it CBC, CTV, Global, one of them this morning, I think, that there is, they're offering, and this would have been all over BC, when it was one of the ones from Vancouver. They were offering a, I think it's 3 different wine tastings plus staying here at one of the resorts, I've forgotten which one. And I think that it was really good advertising for Vesuvius. And so I think we need to make sure that they know that we appreciate that. Thanks. So anybody want to look at this and make a motion based on the recommendation? Is that we approve the 2024-28 regional tourism marketing fee?
Move number 1, Nick.
Okay, that's it. And that the mayor and corporate officer agree to sign it.
Need a second.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Councilor Puerto Rico seconding. Any other questions about this? No, all in favor? Thank you very much. Back to my. All right, so next is the general net payroll and Sunbowl Arena financial accounts. And this is as of, yes, exactly, December or September the 12th. The general cash requirements are in the amount of $1,253,971.73. Sunbowl cash requirements $14,793.30, and net payroll accounts of $281,179.06. So I'm looking for an option to approve those for information purposes. Councilor Poderick, Councilor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And next is the summary of building permits. And we have for the month, 3 million, just over 3 million in building permits that have been awarded. To date is 14,000,004, and last year at this date it was 17,006. So we're almost there. I see that we have single family dwellings and some insulation and a new deck around the pool. So could we have any motion to accept the building report, please? Thank you, Councilor Puerto Rico, Councilor King. All right, next we will go to bylaws, zoning amendment bylaw. And this is consideration of third reading. Go ahead, please, Ms. Curtis.
Thank you, Mayor Mccormick. So this report is for the third reading of zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.137. Council granted first and second reading on January 24th, 2023, and the second public hearing was held on June 27th, 2023. If approved, the bylaw would rezone the property from an R1 single-family residential to an R2 single-family residential small lot to accommodate subdivision of the property into 2 small lots, 1 lot containing the existing home. The subject property is designated as a medium-high density in the town's official community plan and is located within the Meadowlark Plan area, as well as the agricultural land reserve. An application for exclusion from the ALR would be submitted in the event that third reading is given. The Meadowlark Plan supports intensive residential development, and the OCP seeks to accommodate diverse housing options of the form of infill. And intensifying existing residential neighborhoods where suitable. The proposed rezoning and subsequent subdivision would comply with the OCP's density requirements and policies. During the public hearing, no presentation was made by the applicant. Written correspondence was received from 4 individuals within the neighborhood. The letters received conveyed concerns related to privacy, building heights, safety concerns for the existing residents, increased density in the neighborhood, and vehicle traffic. Infrastructure within the neighborhood and subject property being used for short-term rentals. Council asked administration to follow up with the information provided during the public hearing regarding potential safety concerns for the existing residents. No building permits were on file for the subject property. The town's building inspectors visited the residence and determined that the residence is currently divided into 2 suites, with an original wood burning stove located in the front suite. For life safety, the property owner was advised that the existing smoke detectors should be replaced with a photoelectric smoke and carbon monoxide detector. Administration is of the opinion that the site is still suitable for a smaller lot size. Furthermore, the use and the size of the new lots is supported in policies with the town special community plan. The proposed development is in keeping with the special part of the and the new subdivision housing style.
Okay, thank you. So are you comfortable with the concerns that the neighbors brought up and how this has been dealt with by the owner?
So
I think your worship, administration acted on. Just the required reasons, so basically the. Building inspector went to take a look at the property and based on their review, recommended carbon monoxide detectors, so from a building inspector perspective, they acted on the information that they have within their files and came up with that one suggestion. I think that's as far as administration can go. Acted on the.
to speak further on that,
Yes.
the building inspectors had no concerns with the structure itself.
Okay,
Based off of the year that it was constructed, which was an estimated in the 60s. It's a building of its nature, essentially. It's based on, age, but it's still looking at a building. There was no concerns other than that carbon monoxide, and that was just way more. And so potentially that was simply just their safety feature. So there, if one half were to have an emergency event, the other half would be notified as well.
sure. So, following, if this was read a 3rd time, then it would need to go to the ALR next, and then the Ministry of Transportation would also have to be consulted.
Correct.
And I'm hoping that the neighbors are comfortable with the steps that have been taken. Go ahead, Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I vote against the motion just based on if that was ALR wanted to bring another home with that statute in the community. I'd be against that. If I had 4 or 6 neighbors in that cul-de-sac, having problems with what's there already. So I don't feel it's fair for me to tell everybody less we should be able to take that house and do that. The same as I'm sure they would be kind of upset if we didn't say that. That's just my first opinion.
Yeah. Anybody else have any feelings on this particular one? I'm a little concerned that there was no building permit done for it, although I know the building inspector has been there. And the use of the suites is, I think, one of the concerns of the neighbors. And that is still a concern to me, but I'm wondering if there's any next steps that would be taken after a third reading to ensure that that the rules were followed for, no, that isn't part of it. Go ahead.
The indication that I received is that if council does give this third reading, it would be referred to the ALC, which is basically giving council's confirmation that it would receive adoption at a future council meeting. So that would be what you would be signaling to the ALC is that council is in support of this application.
Thank you. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? I kind of feel the same way as Councillor Bennett. I'm still a little concerned. Do you want to say something?
Thank you, worship. I know definitely there's been significant concern in that area with this property, short-term rental being one of it. Obviously, the location or use of the property, the secondary suite. Yeah, I'm in the same opinion as the councillor. Bennett on this one, I just don't know if this is the right option at this time.
Okay. Well, did you have something to say, Councillor Brown?
Basically echoing the same concerns as Council Federico, where although it does on paper align with the spirit of the OCP, I don't think it aligns really with the general spirit of the city. But we've seen time and time the recommendations and input from public. And not to say that all SCRs are the same, but we've had considerable correspondence with enough detail that I'm comfortable seconding Council Bennett's motion.
Okay. So, rather than option one, Councillor Bennett, are you saying option two, that it should take place at a later date or that it be abandoned? Number three, that the zoning amendment bylaw be abandoned. So that's been moved and seconded. Anyone else like to speak to this? All in favor? Thank you. So that's abandoned. Thank you very much, Ms. Curtis. Okay, next is the 5-year financial plan.
So the Port Council, the 5-year financial plan, bylaw 1381.03. The purpose of this amending bylaw is to add a capital project, capital land acquisition for $2.25 million. And this is for security and parking. So at this point in time, recommendation before the council, the 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw 1381.03 2023 be read for a second and third time.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Gamer.
I move option one.
Thank you. You read it first, second, and third time. So second, Councillor John, seconding that. Thank you. Is there anyone against this? I'll put it the opposite way. Anybody against? Everybody in favor? Thank you very much. Okay. So. Next. All right, thank you. Next, we need the CAO report. We were fast with that one, sorry. Oh.
Thank you, your worship. There's been a lot of things going on in the community the last little bit and some more things coming on in the future. As indicated earlier today, the child care needs assessment is underway. So that's a positive step in the direction of what the community is looking for, and that's hopefully going to be completed early in 2024. Cactus Kids Day Camp finished on August 25th. Extremely successful, 48 to 55 children registered each week. So that's a great event. Also the annual family splash event, not the greatest of days for students, but we still had close to 100 people that attended. The fall leisure guide is out, I think, today. So for those that participate in a lot of recreational programs within the community, strongly encourage you to take a look at the guide and register as soon as you possibly can. The registration for the Adult Valley Volleyball League started September 5th, and again, it was oversubscribed. We have 2 teams on the waiting list, 16 teams registered. Harry Fox Run is coming up September 17th. Registration can be completed online, or you can show up the day of the event. I'm sure that registration completed before would probably be appreciated. Pickleball tournament was, as we heard just a few minutes ago, occurred this weekend. Sounded like it was a great event. From a hockey perspective, first exhibition game, the Coyotes, is coming up here on September. Oh, actually it occurred.
So Saturday night.
It happened Saturday night. All right. And this week, all the other user arena groups have started their practices, etc. And something that's a hot topic that we want to at least advertise, it's starting October 15th, washrooms, we'll start doing the transition to the winter hours, and the washrooms will be closed 7 daily, starting then, so seeing a bit of heads up to the public. And the Lions Park washroom is closed due to some plumbing issues. I don't have a date as far as when they'll be reopened. Some other things occurring is we've got a new staff member, it's like the show to Echo Draymond. She started with us last week. She's in the financial services area. Positive note, there'll be no tax sale this year, so really happy to hear that all those that were on that list made the financial arrangements. That's always a positive thing. We also got 4-day recruits within the fire department, and they're going to start taking their NFPA 1001 training starting September. So another positive piece within the administration. And just a little bit of a shout out for tomorrow's event, September 13th. There's Hug a Hero at Travel Park, where our first responders are going to be recognized for the fantastic work they did during all year long, but it's specifically related to our recent fire event. As far as new businesses, we've got a few in town: Happy Home Projects Limited, a Nemeth Tile Floor Installation, and ICDL, 2 companies there, and R&B Collectibles. Just an update on some of our capital projects. The 85th Street Plaza, the RFP is closed, so it's we're getting closer to actually awarding that. So we're reviewing the proposals and seeing how that will make out. Flood mitigation projects, the scopes are being defined. Water metering, it closes within the next week or 2 here, so that's another project that we've been waiting to commence. And the water treatment plant is indicated this morning that there's a lot of work being done there, some pre-design work, and so we're looking forward to that project commencing. That's my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Risley. Could we have a motion, please, that the CIO report be received for information? Councillor Federica, Councillor Queen, all in favor. Thank you. We go to council reports, Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just 2 little events on the 18th. We had a special council meeting, and September 11th, we had the grand evaluation committee meeting. That's my report.
Thank you. Councillor Chong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attended the Assoociated Beach Volleyball end of year tournament. The largest amount of team that we've had since its adoption. Just want to thank Jason Bosch for organizing Backroads Brewery for supplying the delicious beer, and Desert Hills for supplying the delicious wine. It's great to see the life of the local economy come and just enjoy ourselves. Played 7 games over a week. So that was fun. And then we had a meeting with Chamber of Commerce, just an update on their business retention and with the ANR standpoint. Yeah, basically rejuvenation of the local economy. Lots of really good initiatives. I believe It's South Okanagan Stories. If you Google that, you can see some of the really awesome videos and marketing materials, all locally sourced. So it's, yeah, I would encourage the public to go check that out for sure. But that concludes my report.
Good, thank you. Councilor Federica.
Thank you. Your worship, mine's being rather short as we get ready for UBCM, but unfortunately I had to miss a meeting with Destination Suits and members of Tom Sort of Tourism Association who met with Mr. Poplin and hit me a few weeks back. Just to go over some of their concerns and issues with regards to the travel order. And the impact it had, especially down here in the South Okanagan on with their tourism and hospitality stakeholders. So Toad has been pretty aggressive. Of course, I had a meeting prior to that, which we had some indication at least that the order was going to be released early. Fortunately, it was done at midnight, so it's kind of nice to. But obviously, Toad is working with all its destination marketing partners to help look at some ways of improving what occurred in the last couple of weeks here and help return the tourism levels to where they should be this time of year. That's why I report today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor King.
Thank you, Mayor. Along with Councilor Chung and Councilor Bennett, yesterday, in fact, we were at the grant evaluation committee, interested in people still looking for money, we're slowly running out. And I'd really like to thank all the businesses in town that are supporting. I think Coyotes here, I think it's bigger than ever. The wall is completely, I heard there's 141 sponsors, so kudos to all the business in town.
That's terrific. Did they find enough billets for people?
And I haven't got the
I
update,
saw
I
that.
believe so.
Good.
but yes, you've got so many sponsors, I don't know if you can see any white now.
Thank you, Councilor King. So I was down in California for most of the month of August, where to welcome my granddaughter, but since I've been back, I've been busy. So CEO and I had a meeting with Minister Heyman, Environment Minister, plus regional district people. It was over in Costin, where he asked about what were the concerns in the South Okanagan, particularly in terms of environment. We gave them, all of us, quite a long list. I mentioned Zebra mussels, Okanagan Basin Water Board, made sure he read that letter. Droughts, floods, national park, ranching issues, permitting concerns, compost facility. Multiple ministries need to be consulted on anything which they felt was took way more time than it should have. Costs, funding going up on everything, and suggested that using local experts to help with volunteers in terms of disasters. The floods, the droughts, the fires, the road closure, all of those kinds of things, and he was busy taking notes on that. So I also had a meeting that week with the Resort Collaborative Committee. And that's the 14 municipalities that are resort municipalities. And the CAO and I will be meeting with them on Monday in Vancouver at UBCM to have a look at all of the issues that affect all of us. Certainly one of the big issues is infrastructure funding, because as we know, the town of Vesuvius residents pay for taxes on property, and it's sometimes 3 and 4 times in the summertime. And so our job is to build infrastructure to accommodate the tourists and all of the people that come here, because that's part of our raison d'etre, and we need some help, and all of us at the resort municipalities are in total agreement with that, and we're having breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning next Friday with the Minister Popham, and we will be meeting all day Monday about these kind of concerns. And thank you to our CAO and Scott Neal, who went and took a picture of the the Gyro Plaza, multi-use plaza, beautiful picture. And sent it to Whistler, and the RMI pictures from each municipality are gonna be at our meeting on Monday, so that's a good thing. Is that the regional district, Okanagan's Milk Meeting last week where we were supposed to have a meeting until 1 o'clock, so they didn't order lunch, but the meeting went from 2:45 to 3 and we still didn't get lunch. But anyway, talking about temporary use permits, cell towers, food security issues. And I got something from the Kent Mullinex and Christy Tataby from Quantum Polytech about food security in our area. They've been working on it for quite some time. According to Dr. Mullinex, we are producing enough food for people in the world. The problem is that the loss of arable land and exploitation of water resources is causing us to have less fertile land to grow this on. And he did mention baby boomers buying small farms, putting in some small amount of crops, getting the farm tax, and then building mansions. And that's causing concerns as well. So interesting. If I get the report from that, I will forward it to council. After I finished my meeting at Yardia West on Thursday, I had to go to Kelowna, part because my car was being serviced the next morning, and partly I had to chair the Okanagan Basin Water Board annual meeting. And so because the highway was closed, I rode 201, which I left the Yardia West office at just after 2:30, and I got to the hotel in Kelowna at 5. So it took 2.5 hours, but I see now that the road is open on single lane traffic, I think. So that's a good thing. But on another note, the mayors of the Okanagan, many of them, I think there's 6 or 8 of us, have written a letter asking the government to consider putting in a more permanent second road, not just a Forest Service road that needed to be graded and is washboardy. And I had to come back and literally spend three times at the car wash to get the dirt and the salt and everything off of my car. So that letter will be going out asking them to please consider a different route if we're going to get more people and building and visiting in the Okanagan. And we have fires and droughts and floods and rock slides. We need to have better arterial roads. So that was one of the things we did. And I was at the pickleball tournament, just to bring greetings from the town. I was also on International Osoyoos Lake Board of Control meeting yesterday. We are having the annual meeting for that. It's going to be in Osoyoos. It's on I think it's the 3rd of October. It's a Wednesday. The board meets all day, and then there is a public meeting at night. There are things on Facebook right now, and they are putting some ads in the paper to advertise that it is open to anybody to attend. It will be held at the Sonora Center. So look for that, please. It's really quite interesting, and it will talk about the Zolgo Dam, talking about how we protect things, how we do LiDAR pictures of the shorelines, that type of thing. I've also been on several meetings with Minister Ma and Minister Kang. And actually, I was just on one this morning after our COW meeting was over. There are certainly wildfire concerns. In the last 7 years, 4 of those years have had the worst fire records in history. There's a drought, of course, as well, which is compounded. Half of the basins in the whole province are either at level 5, which is the worst, or level 4. So we're not out of the woods on that one yet. And there are 41 new fires Just recently, they seem to keep springing up. Now, some of them are put out quickly, such as the fire just west of Oliver yesterday. I think it was put out quickly, thank heavens. In the Kamloops Fire District, which is us, there have been 5 of them. So I want to also mention the South Okanagan General Hospital issues. Certainly, it's a big concern that the emergency department is closed during the day today. Martin Johansson, Mayor Johansson, as the chair of the hospital district, he did an article, I think it was in the Penticton Herald and on Castanet. We're really, all of us, working hard to try and make the government accountable for the problems with pay. So doctors who do emergency at SOGH are not paid the same as doctors who do emergency at Penticton. And that doesn't seem to be fair. Everybody seems to be passing the buck. So it has, all of that information has been sent to Minister Dix, who has agreed that the buck stops with him. So we'll see what happens, because it's certainly a huge issue that hasn't seemed to get any better. Just know that when several of us are, well, all of us are going to UBCM next week in Vancouver. And we have one of our meetings is with the Ministry of Health. And we have a bit of a list of things that we are going to bring up and talk to him about. Oliver also has a meeting, so they'll get it everywhere. And I was on a Zoom meeting the other day with Toda, where I don't think whether it was the same one that Councillor Federico was on or not, but talking about the tourism concerns, and Minister Mott even admitted today that it was much easier to put the travel ban in place than it was to lift it and get travel back to where we want it. So we understand that for sure. And those are all the things that I had today. I also have the Make Water Work, or tapping into water solutions. This is the annual report from Okanagan Basin Water Board, if anybody wants to have a look at it. So we're going to move in camera now, and I'm going to just read this first. Pursuant to section 91 of the community charter, part of the council meeting may be closed to the public with subject matter being considered related to one or more of the following. Section 90C, labor relations and other employee relations. 91E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements, if council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality. 91F, law enforcement, if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the conduct of an investigation under or enforcement of an enactment. 91G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. 91J, information that is prohibited, or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Section 91M, a matter that under another enactment is such that the public may be excluded from the meeting. And 92B, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and the provincial government, or the federal government, or both, or between a provincial government or the federal government, or both, and a third party. That's a lot of reasons why we're going in camera. Could I have a motion, please, to do that? Councillor Bennett, Councillor